We hear so much about the economy, well, mostly from politicians who are out on the campaign trail. But what do you really have to know, especially if you're running a small business as we're moving forward in 2012? Joining us right now is Brian Hamilton, CEO of Sageworks, that's a financial analysis firm for privately held companies. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hey, it's great to be here, Michael.
You know, there is a big worry about the great unknown for a lot of companies. And, you know, we hear the politicians talking about, well, the thing is there's a lot of doubt with business owners now. They don't know if they should expand, if they should hire. What are some of the big unknowns that we can put to rest or that business owners need to address?
Well, this is a great question, and it's addressed a lot, as you know, in the media. But it's interesting to me. There are unknowns in Washington, and we tend to attribute a lot of stuff generally to Washington. But the real unknown/known is the national debt. So, I don't necessarily attribute everything to politics. I think, sort of not just our coverage, but our dialogue tends to revolve around what politicians can do. If I'm a business person in the United States and there's 27 million privately held companies, I'm looking at our national debt as a known constraint that could really disrupt this recovery. So that's kind of the one that's like right out in our face. And although the politicians do give not lip service, but there's some dialogue around it, it's not a continuing dialogue. It's almost like the problem du jour or an ad hoc problem that gets addressed and then gets dismissed. So I think as a business person, that's one known thing that really disrupts your planning because remember, Michael, if interest rates go up because of that debt, that would have cascading effects all through these privately held companies because interest expense tends to be a very significant operating cost of any privately held company.
Do they have to worry about the political scene? Is it one of those things where you just hold off until after the election, or is that bad business and you're missing an entire year?
Yeah, I wish I could answer that. I really wish I had a definitive answer, and it's not that I'm going to punt on it. I really don't know. The way I look at this is as follows. These privately held companies are going to hire people, and they're going to expand their business. They're going to buy stuff when their revenues are strong and their profits are strong, and when they can look into the future and they can plan for their business. So I do think that Washington has been very disruptive to the planning capability of the people who run these companies. However, I don't think for privately held companies that everything revolves around Washington. I think it is fuzz on the ball. It's really more about when I look out into the future, what can I see there? And, being sort of getting right down into the weeds here, this recovery has been a little odd, and historically, it had really definitely been odd. GDP had a sort of a nice start up in 2010. It went up by about 3%. 2011, it averaged or has averaged about 1.2%. Michael, it's not real healthy, so that's very unusual. So, although again, getting to your question, politicians tend to think the world revolves around them.
Yeah, noticed.
I don't. Yeah, that's what they do for a living. So
yes.
That's their world. I'm more concerned about a lack of pattern to this recovery that hasn't been demonstrable. It's just not really strong. And so, if I'm a business person, it's hard for me to plan. I guess is the short answer.
Perfect, Brian Hamilton, CEO of Sageworks. Thanks so much for being with us.
Great to see you.
It's time now for